Hello and welcome to the ParkZapp Playground. I'm your host, Amal Kumar, and today I'm joined by Paula Phelps, Safety Officer at Salem Kaiser Public Schools in Oregon. Paula has been leading school safety initiatives for actually not early, nearly a decade, and developing systems that keep students and staff protected while bringing innovation and leadership in every project. Paula, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Oh, you're welcome, Amal. Thank you so much for that gracious introduction. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me here today.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
I want to start off for those who are actually listening that don't know you yet. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, like your role at the Salem Kaiser Public Schools, and what is your day to day like there?
sure. My current role is a career technical education safety officer, which pretty much covers all of our high hazard career technical education programs in the state of Oregon, where I think we have about 141 programs total. So we have quite a few programs in the state. Currently, my day to day is pretty varied. So, usually, I'm implementing a CT safety system in one of our programs, either in middle school or high school, or at our regional CTE program. And it usually means meeting with teachers, talking to them about the value of safety being implemented in their classroom, how that brings capacity for their teaching, and then in addition to that, like this morning, I went out and somebody reported a strange smell in their classroom. So I had to go out there and smell and see if I could determine what that smell was and next steps for that. Playground inspections or ergonomic evaluations, safety committees. Really, my day to day is always a wide variety, which I really appreciate about the role.
So, what got you interested in safety and risk management?
Oh, well, I think it's that it's a job where you can really have an impact on people's lives. So the work that we do can really help ensure that we mitigate hazards. So that way, our students, staff, or people who come onto our campus are not injured. And so that's really my goal is to help people leave better than they came. So
That's amazing. You're basically just improving lives. I really,
yeah,
that's a
trying.
great response. Yeah, of course. So, do you remember the moment where you realize, yeah, this is the right field for me. Well, for you, actually.
Yeah, I think after attending an Oregon OSHA training and then also the CPSI, the Certified Playground Safety Inspector training, really learning the impact that those people who are trained and certified to help prevent those hazards and mitigate any um, hazards, that it really is a great responsibility and can really have a huge impact in people's lives because injuries can be, life altering, if not life ending. So it really was motivating.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely get that. I don't know if you know the story about me or my brother and how ParkZapp got started. Basically, what happened was, I mean, we were both injured at a young age playing on a
Mm.
playground, right? I
Oh.
got injured. His was more serious than mine. This is probably around the time I was born. My brother's like 10 years older than me. So he was playing and then he got hurt really bad. He had to go to the ER. My situation wasn't an ER situation. I just
Mm.
busted my lip, but it was still bad. And
Yeah,
regardless, a child was hurt, right?
yeah, right.
So
Huh.
that makes me wonder though, because you have quite a bit of experience on your plate now. You've been doing this for about 10 years, right? 10
Yeah,
years.
uh-huh.
Yeah. So what changed the most in how safety has managed in time, like over time?
I would say, just the digital age, really being able to how we can record those hazards, have a better grasp on being able to capture those, record them, have a place where they're housed, so you can easily access them, and then also distribute it out to the partners that can help us mitigate those hazards.
So that means like in the Oregon Department of Education, I mean, you ended up adopting your own system. So uh, what inspired like I'm trying to think here. Actually, yeah. What did uh, that mean to you personally and professionally when you actually ended up on the Oregon Department of Education?
Yes, I was invited to be a part of the Oregon Department of Education task force for creating a CTE safety system. And because Salem Kaiser Public Schools had already created their own system when I came on the task force, they were trying to recreate the wheel, I guess you'd say. And so I said, well, I'm happy to share this safety system that we developed for our school district. And they were all thrilled. And of course, there was some great continuous improvement. So made some suggestions, and they decided to adopt our um, CTE safety system. So now Oregon Department of Education has rolled out, their CTE safety system, which is pretty much Salem Kaiser Public Schools, but just labeled with their logo and their information. So, which was a great honor, and I think a testament to the hard work that myself and our risk manager, Michael Majors, did, along with other people in our school district.
So speaking of CTE, so like what specific project that you helped done what inspired you to help get it off the ground exactly? What was like the starting point of that?
Well, unfortunately, and where you'll hear this in like similar to your story, there was an injury involved. So usually that's what, precipitates or is a catalyst for change really with safety. Is somebody's gotten injured, how do we prevent that from ever happening again? So we had an injury in our woodshop class. So that's what precipitated. It's like these CTE programs, which are so viable and so vital to our schools. For an example, some statistics for you. If a student is involved in CTE programs, they're going to graduate at about a 95 to 96% graduation rate. If they're not involved in CTE, the average rate is about 83%. So there's a huge benefit for students to be involved in CTE programs. So, of course, when you have an injury, you're like, oh, what should we do? Should we close down the program? Or is it, what can we do to make sure it's safe for these students to do and there's no injuries? And so that's why we created the CT safety system, because we want to make sure our programs were here for a long time and ensure that nobody was injured. And when it was first happened, we went out and looked for a safety system that we could just implement, that we could purchase, curriculum and implement. And unfortunately, there just wasn't anything out there. So that's what precipitated us actually creating our own. So and
So
using,
yeah, sorry.
no, go
so
ahead.
so out of all the CTE programs, like woodshop, culinary, manufacturing, right, or automotive, which ones tend to have the most challenges from a safety standpoint?
Yeah, I would say wood shop has the most challenges due to the nature of the power equipment that they use, really high powered, really sharp items. And your hands are getting close to the hazard, right? That spinning wheel of the saw or the drill press or whatever you're using, your hands get close. So inside of our CT programs, I would say that's the highest hazard. But outside of CTE, like our youth that are going out and getting jobs, it's in culinary, because most students, when they go get a job, right, they're working in fast food. And so inside of industry, when they go get those jobs, there's a lot of injuries that happen. So outside of the school, I would say culinary would be.
Mm. So woodshop and culinary,
Yeah.
basically.
Yes.
I don't think I ever done any woodshop classes. I done culinary. I mean, I like
Oh,
culinary.
okay.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and they do a good job because you're working at a slower pace in culinary, not like at a restaurant. So they really implement that safety and make sure, because they're instructing you as well. But once you get out to the fast food, I don't know if you've ever worked in fast food restaurants, but yeah, it's fast and things can happen real quick. So
Yeah, you gotta just do, right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I've done like stuff in the food industry. Like I made, like I packed. Like I actually made jams, like jalapeno jams and like Parmesan cheeses and like uh,
Oh,
barbecue sauces. Like I did a bunch of that stuff while I was in high school. I
oh,
mean,
wow.
I was kind of fast paced too. I had to fill jars, screw the caps on, hope to God, when you flip them over, flip it under, that the jar, like the lid doesn't pop off and fly all over.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. You're working with lots of high pressure sometimes items that can, pop off or even
Yeah,
those
for
big,
sure.
huge, mixers that they have, the Hobart
Yeah,
mixers that
I
have a
remember
cage
that
around them,
whole.
hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we made salsa at one point. I remember my boss got burnt, and that was terrible.
Yeah, yeah. That's
But
happens.
things like that happen. It's
Mhm.
how life goes. We gotta keep pushing
Yeah.
forward.
And
That's
that's why we just keep on putting in these, we call it multi-layered systems. So that way we just try to keep putting in different layers to help protect from them actually reaching that hazard. So
Yeah.
that's our goal.
I didn't mean to diverge from where we are.
No, no, you're fine. Yeah.
But I really do want to ask you, how do you go about building a buy-in from teachers and students in those high hazard spaces?
I think it's really making sure that I come in to listen and not just kind of say, hey, you need to do this, this, and this, but really after I listen to them and ask about their challenges and really what safety concerns they have, then I can usually find something that we have a mutual, agreement on and then really work from there, build their trust. So that way they know where I'm coming from, that I'm not coming in to try to change their classroom or take away all the fun stuff, but really just making sure that they can sleep easier at night, that they have more capacity in their daytime because they've got so many students. So really trying to advocate for them too about making sure that we have the funds for the right PPE for whatever class they're doing, making sure that we limit the number of students in those high hazard programs so they're not trying to manage more students than what they should with all these high hazards around them. So really about relationship, like
So
most
when,
things in life. Yeah.
so when you build that relationship, how long does that usually take? Just curious.
Well, it's interesting. Sometimes it can be really quick, because if you're focused on the time, so meeting with a teacher for even like an hour, it really just builds being able to talk back and forth. And so I would say within an hour or two of us meeting, we can, build that relationship, at least have a foundation for it. And then just keeping in a regular cadence with the teachers. So building a regular communication cadence with them, that really helps solidify it. So,
That's cool.
yeah.
So thinking about like playgrounds specifically, what does a typical inspection look like for your team?
Well, what's nice about our team is that we do have three safety officers. My focus now is more on CTE safety, but it used to be just me. And I would used to do the playground inspections by myself. So it would be, making sure that you're going out when there's not recess or when there's students there, which is a challenging to try to find the time. Usually it's early in the morning. But then also, the weather, because you don't want it to be too extreme. If it's pouring down rain, it's really hard to do a good inspection. And but now with more than just myself on the team, we usually go out with two of us as a team. So one of us is doing the testing, the inspecting on the equipment, and then the other one will have the ParkZapp app open and be doing the entering or the taking of the pictures. So it just helps us be able to be more efficient and get the inspection done that much quicker. So that way we can move through our 45 schools that we have. That's how we
Wow.
do it. Yeah.
So like what are the most common hazards or issues that you see during like these inspections?
Most common usually is more than two threads on a bolt. So having that's usually on the older equipment. Sometimes it's underneath, so it's not as big of a deal. But that vandalism, something we unfortunately in some of our schools we have really high vandalism. So having to be on the lookout for that, somebody's dug into the slide or done some other type of damage. And then the decking, that uh, rubber coating that they put over all the deck platforms loves to break off and get brittle. And then you have kind of these sharp edges. And then chips. We still use a lot of chips here in Oregon, wood fiber chips, and making sure that they're level, especially under the fall zones. So I'd say those are our biggest
Mhm.
challenges with that.
And I noticed that you mentioned ParkZapp. How has ParkZapp specifically helped you manage your inspections and organize reports more efficiently?
Well, it's definitely been a big time saver. So before we had ParkZapp, we did all of our inspections with a Word document. So it was going in, changing out the pictures, and then each hazard that you found, and then ranking it. And so it was just it was a very tedious, long process. And then getting ParkZapp, it was like I could probably do 10 playgrounds inspecting compared to the one in the Word document. So, and it was also, I feel like it's a really good program for those that are new to CPSI because as you're going through, checking on the equipment, your mom puts in the or you, whoever, at ParkZapp, they put in the regulation and the code of what that actually, where you can find it in the CPSC code or ASTM. So I think it just helps, increase your knowledge and, just keep that front and center because at least for our roles, like I shared with you earlier, I'm doing a lot of other things besides just playground inspection. So when sometimes we don't get out there for a while, so it's like it's a great reminder as well to make
Well,
sure we're doing it correctly. So
I'm very glad to hear that.
yeah,
So, I mean, ParkZapp has been rolling out new features like QR codes, HACCP level tracking. From your perspective, how could those tools help on the ground?
well, I mean, QR codes are so great. They just really increase the efficiency. So using those, I feel like really just speeds up the process. So it's it's really beneficial to just that ParkZapp is continuing to add those features in, so that way you can continue to be on the front edge of technology in helping your customers. So, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, Paula, I think it's pretty awesome. I remember the first time I encountered a QR code, I mean, it was before COVID, but
Yeah,
it was a while ago. I remember I was in California visiting my cousins, and I was like, "Oh, what's this for?" "Oh, it's for a menu." I'm like, "What?" So I just had my camera, right, and I just scanned
yeah,
this QR code, and I just get a menu. Oh, that's cool. And then I started seeing it at, like, other restaurants. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't just for restaurants, right? It was
yeah,
really cool how I saw it from one place and expanded to multiple kinds of things. It could be for a website, it could be for anything.
yeah,
And the fact that I'm seeing that here with ParkZapp, it's just really cool to me. It's
yeah, yeah. It is a great added benefit, that's for sure. So,
yeah, like how far technology has came, in the
mhm,
last few years.
yeah,
It just blows my mind.
yeah, yeah. We better buckle up with AI because it's taken us. It's going to be crazy in the next few years what happens. So we'll
Oh,
see.
yeah. So if you could let's say, if you could add a new feature or improvement to ParkZapp, what would that be?
I don't know, maybe AI, huh?
Yeah, I mean, AI is being integrated. I mean,
Yeah,
there's always new things that my mom and other people within the company are just trying to come up with. So I was
yeah,
basically trying to see what would you think of, just because like you never know, right? There's always new
yeah.
perspectives anywhere.
One thing, I mean, maybe using AI, it would be that you could feed, you get your report, right? And it has all the hazards and what's compliant, what's not. Um, but you could have AI feedback like a recommendation report, like after all this time, this is what we have observed over because it's got all the tracking of the different reports that we've been doing. So it'd say, hey, it would really benefit you if you put in a security camera over there to help decrease vandalism, or if you know, possibly remove this piece of equipment or, what, or change it around or what have you. So some, I don't know, that's an idea.
No, that's awesome. I love
Yeah.
it. That's perfect. Yeah. I mean, that really is a good idea. Just having a little feedback with like your
Yeah.
own.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah. Especially because, there's so many new CPSI and they're changing it up a little bit, where you just do continuing ed instead of having to take the test,
mhm.
which I know we have to take the test. It is a little stressful and people really have to study hard. So it'll be interesting to see now that they're switching it to just continuing ed, what the training. So I think people might, as they come on and become CPSIs, that added benefit might be something that would be helpful for new CPSI people.
You know, I I talked to other people before who actually taken that test. I actually took them, at least a couple of times just to pass it, just to make
Yeah,
sure they had everything right. Right. I
yeah.
That's really hard. You actually have to know your stuff, have a lot of knowledge on what you're doing. It's a lot
Yeah,
of
I get teased. Oh, you're doing a playground test. How hard can that be? It's like, no, it's hard. There's
yeah,
lots of numbers you have to figure out. Okay. You got to remember all sorts of things. So
yeah, of course.
it's
You
not
know,
as easy as it sounds.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I completely understand, right? Um, Wait, so you said you before ParkZapp you did it on a Google
oh,
Doc or
Word document. Uh-huh.
a Word document. So
Yeah. So like insert a table and put a picture in there and
mhm.
a ranking and description. So
So
very time consuming.
yeah, so what do you think separates a good platform from one that just looks good on, paper, pen and paper?
Well, I really like the added feature that you have of when you select a piece of equipment, it details all the codes and regulations that that piece of equipment needs to, um, have to be compliant. So I feel like that added learning piece is really valuable. And I think being able to take the pictures, being able to email out the reports, so you can have really clear communication and the hazard ranking that you have. So I think those are great features that I really feel like it's really, separates it from ones that just say that they do all these things, but actually you can inside of the app, it actually does those things that
Yeah.
really help you take it to the next level.
Yeah. So beyond, I guess beyond the tools, how how do you build a strong safety culture, across so many departments and people?
Really about collaboration. So, really being in that curious state of mind, like that you can, even though, maybe Amal, you don't know maybe I don't think you know anything about CT or you're not in that space, but me coming to you and recognizing that even though you don't have maybe direct knowledge of a CT safety system, you still have some experience that I could learn from and, translate it into what I'm doing. So I feel like just always being curious about what other people know and valuing their input and, just really valuing having a good working relationship, a professional relationship above um, your goals of trying to get things done. I mean, obviously, we all have our goals that we have to meet and do, but I feel like let's not do it at the expense of, you know, at each other. So try
Yeah,
to
I
work.
mean, you're the expert, right? But I get where you're coming from, right? And everybody has their own experiences, no matter who they are and where they've been. Everybody
Mm,
has, you know, everyone has been through something that no one else has.
yeah,
Learning from their perspective and what they've been through, you kind of get an understanding of, okay, maybe I can do this way when I'm integrating this into our systems.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a
mhm,
really good idea. Sorry, great
yeah.
perspective too. So what is your approach then? When you're basically getting the people to report. You're getting people to report near misses and minor hazards, right?
Mhm.
they become a significant problem. So how do you do that? How do you approach them?
Well, I think it's really important if you want people to report near misses because, right, it's like something that didn't happen, that could have happened, but you're trying to make sure that it doesn't happen, but you need to get that information. So making it super easy for them to report. So quick, easy on an app, they just boop, boop, boop. And then also not a ton of questions. Like just get the enough amount that you need that you can make a determination. So then that way, and then you follow up with them because people aren't going to report near misses or if they feel like, well, nobody's listening to what I'm saying anyway. So what's the point of reporting it? So always having that feedback loop, I feel like are keys to really getting that near miss information from
Yeah, it's also
others.
about that bond building, right? Like you mentioned
Yeah.
before. So it's
Hmm.
just you talk to them, you basically just become their friend. That's basically what this is. You're just making friends. That's how I
Yeah.
like to see it in a
Yeah.
way. And you learn about,
Yeah.
what's going on within, their district, their school, or what's going on, not even just about the school, about them personally. And you
Right.
kind of understand, you get a feeling of, okay, yeah, I know how to talk to this person. Because when you talk to different people, you have different ways of speaking. Like, when you speak to your parents or when you speak to your friends, it's
Right.
different.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's always a new thing, especially when you talk to uh, different people. Like certain friends just have different lingo,
Yeah. Hmm.
so different slang.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think people sometimes they think, oh, Paula's a safety officer. She can tell people what to do or get things done. It's like, oh, they think,
yeah,
yeah, she has real teeth. And I'm like, no, I got baby teeth. Okay. I can't get, I have to use my power of persuasion and influence. That's what I have to try to convince people to be, to be more safe. And that's longer lasting than, being that you need to do this, this, and this just because I said so. So I really try to earn my influence um, and my voice in other people's lives regarding safety. So
yeah, it's like, oh, she's a strict hall monitor or
yeah,
something.
I know, yeah.
No,
You have
you're
to have that good balance, right? You can't be overly because then nobody's going to listen to you. Like if it's kind of like that, if you've got a wet floor and you always, but when it's dry, you have the sign up that says wet floor. Okay, nobody's going to believe you anymore because you have it there, but it's not wet. So you really have to be wise in when you use your cautionary or to the degree that you should. So
yeah,
don't want to be overreactive about the safety concern, right?
yeah. That goes for anyone, right? Not just
Yeah.
adults, kids, pets, right? You have kids, you have
Yeah.
grandkids.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
plenty.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's like
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta play a little mental game, or something,
Yeah.
or like with my dog, for example, right? It's always hard to get him inside. He's a husky. I don't know if I told you I have a
Oh,
husky.
yeah.
Everything's kind of hard when you're trying to make him listen because they don't
Yeah.
listen. They
They're
like to
like
do
a
the
pack,
opposite.
right? They like to do what
Yeah.
the others do. Yeah.
So like for example, the sun would be down. It'd be like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. We're trying to get him to come inside the house because like sometimes you might howl at something or bark at something that might be going through our backyard, like
Mhm.
a little critter or something, or
Yeah.
I don't know, just anything along those lines. And that would kind of like annoy our neighbors and like, oh, your dog's barking, whatever,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So it's just, like finding ways just to communicate uh,
Yeah.
in their own
Oh,
way, if that
right.
makes sense. For my dog, sometimes it's cheese. He likes cheese, and he like crumple a wrapper, or go outside, which
Right.
I don't like. I don't want to do it, but I gotta do it almost every night. I gotta
Uh-huh.
go out. I gotta play little games, like, and then he
Uh,
just runs after me, and then I just run inside. And sometimes he's jealous, right?
Yeah.
So when people hug, he likes to come up and try to hug us too.
Uh,
So he's kind of like a human.
yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
I kind of get in an area where he can actually see me, my mom, or my
Uh-huh.
dad hug. So in the
Yeah.
inside, and then we go inside basically.
Uh,
So
yeah.
it's fun. Or when you talk to
Yeah.
kids too, like so I don't know if you know that much about me, but I am an audio engineer, and what that basically comes with, I have my own company, Amal Audio LLC, and
Okay.
I I'm not just an audio engineer. I sound design. I produce music. I DJ weddings,
Oh,
and
nice. Okay.
yeah, and I did a gig. Was it 2 weekends ago? Time's flying by so quick. 2 weekends ago, and I remember I was trying to transition, going from one thing to another, going from the ceremony to the reception, and I remember there was like this grandpa telling his daughter to get his grandkid inside the play, like inside the venue, and she's like, "Oh, I'm working on it," yada yada yada, and then the kid just didn't want to do it. But then I saw something that the mother, to the grandkid, to her kid, did. Basically, she's like, "Oh, I'll race you," right? Like
Yeah.
a little challenge, a little.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, yeah,
that's pretty smart. I get it now. It's
yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
my dog. Yeah,
That's right. You're like, you gotta learn these little tips and tricks that you see others do, you know?
yeah. You know when you like do like marketing or something, like let's say like you know, I never done this job, but you know how some people like they're trying to sell you stuff, but some people they go up to you like, oh, take this, want to buy this, you want to smell this cologne. That's not that. Sometimes that doesn't work. There's always a different approach. And
Yeah.
I know I'm going on a tangent here, just saying. I think this is pretty good. So like basically, sometimes you just don't have to go up to people. Sometimes you can just be off minding your own business, and people will come check out what this certain thing is, and people will just come are just drawn to that, right? There's
Yes.
always a different
Yeah,
approach on how to draw people's attention or get something in or something done. Because
yeah,
if you say just do, that's not
mhm,
always the right way.
right. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you gotta do different approaches.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
of
for sure.
course.
Yeah.
So, sorry, you got a promotion, right? So you recently got one, and basically, I want to know what did that experience teach you about leadership and growth,
I would say
or you
to,
want promotion?
you
Sorry,
know,
I don't know if you got.
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, to the CTE safety role is the promotion. And it really taught me about not being, I mean, I guess you can make the choice of you're comfortable where you're at, or you can develop yourself and continue to professionally grow. And that's, being an avid, learner. Never stop learning would be my, recommendation for people. And then also being willing to accept feedback. You have to, we're never going to be perfect. So what do I need to work on? Because even now, after I've been here for 10 years, there's things that I need to work on. So just constantly having that, I think, humble mentality of I need to learn and not being like, oh, I know everything. Nobody, because those people are really challenging to work with if they're never open to anybody else's ideas but their own. So I would say those would be my things I've learned about trying to get promoted or, developing as a leader professionally.
Yeah, for me, like, I mean, everyone has something that they need to work on.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, one of my biggest faults would be I'm very, very hard on myself. I like to be a
Mhm.
perfectionist. Not everything is perfect. Even in every podcast interview that I do, there's always going to be mess ups, right? There's always going
Yeah.
to be something that you might stumble on a. I'm doing it right now. I'm stumbling on some words here, right? Or
Yeah.
I do that. Everybody does something where
Yeah.
they,
Exactly.
but you know, are you one of those people that are kind of hard on themselves? Like sometimes I take criticism, but sometimes I apply that too much on myself. Like, oh man, like I need to make sure I don't do this next time. I don't want to mess up because like this is like really bad now that I'm thinking about it. Right? Do you ever get into your head sometimes? Because me personally, it's like that for me.
Yeah. I feel like definitely when I was younger, I would feel like it was a heavier, a bigger mess up, or, oh, it's, more of the end of the world than I do now. I feel like as you get older, I think you just realize, you know what? You're going to constantly mess up. And that's part of learning. So if you recognize, the quicker you own it and recognize it and start making steps to try to mitigate that, right, from happening again. I feel like that's a way to kind of process it better than just sitting in it going, oh, I did so terrible. It's like I can't be in that space long. I have to like move on. Okay, I did terrible at that. So what am I going to do to make it to where I do better next time? So I think that's a healthier place to live than kind of beating up on ourselves.
Yeah, and especially when you're doing school safety or anything along those lines, right? Your number one priority is to make sure, right, everyone is okay.
Hmm.
And for someone who's actually interested in moving into school safety and risk management, what advice would you give them based on your journey?
I would say if they are in that role, then definitely find a mentor and network. I feel like no matter really what position you're in life, like it's really hard when you're younger, because I know I was like that too, to ask for help or to seek a mentor because you feel like, oh, they don't have time for me, they don't want to do it. But people really, they are complimented when somebody reaches out to them and be like, hey, I see what you're doing. I really like how you're doing that. Like somebody that you admire in the podcast world. You never know until you reach out and be like, hey, would you be willing to meet with me once a month, once a week, whatever, the schedule allows, to help me develop, because I really want to learn from you. So networking, and then that constant learning, constantly professionally developing yourself, learning about what's new, what's coming up, and don't just be satisfied with where you're at.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know about you, but for me, when I was when I was a little bit younger, I used to think of mentors like, oh yeah, it's like something that's gonna take you under your wing, but they're all like high and mighty. But a mentor can come from anywhere. I realized
Hmm.
as I grew older,
Yeah.
um, especially like job wise, right? How I got started within audio. I'm sorry if I'm boring with the audio stuff.
No, no, good.
It's my career, right? So
Great to hear about yeah, where you are.
yeah, yeah. So basically, like I made I've been making music since I was like in middle school. So that's
Oh,
been
no.
years now. I just graduated with my master's degree, so it's a long time ago. So, but over time, it's just finding the right fit for me and my and the job that I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And I told you I used to make food. I used to do these things where it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be within the industry of audio or entertainment
Yeah,
at least.
yeah.
And so I started my own company not too long ago because I was still wrapping up with my degree. I wasn't finished yet. So I was like, I can't really focus on what I want to do if my primary focus is studies.
Right.
So I started my own company, just dabbling in a little bit of like, okay, now I can promote my services of DJing or any audio services that I might have here. But how
Mhm.
I got started before having my company, I had this. He's a great friend of mine. His name is Jeff, and he's actually a neighbor, and
Mm.
it, mentors are not just some crazy high above person. They could just be anyone. They could be your friend. They could be
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
friend. And he gave me a shot. I'll never forget this. He gave me a shot in DJing. It's like my first chance of
Oh,
actually making some sort of money, like wedding DJ,
yeah.
wedding DJ. So he gave me a shot, and I was like his assistant, and I did some stuff here and there. I give some input of what I learned from school about like sound stuff, like okay,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
this room, yada yada yada, right? And I
Mhm.
helped them elevate that sound, and I started playing music. The whole crowd loved it. Oh, this is the best wedding I ever been to because like, there was because I gave them
Mhm.
ideas like, going throughout the night. But
That's great.
anyway, like you learn from somebody. They give you a shot. You give it
Yeah.
your all, and
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
do every time. If anyone gives
Mhm.
me a shot at any job, I always try to make sure I try to show them what I can do and how I can add value to their lives.
Right.
That's how
Yeah.
it should be.
Mhm. Yeah.
You you're in this for the right reasons. You want to do school safety. You want to elevate other people's lives, Paula. And I really think that's amazing. That's truly amazing.
Yeah.
Making someone else's life better. It makes
Mhm.
me happy. And
Yeah.
I guarantee that makes you happy too. That's
Yeah.
why
Mhm.
it keeps me going.
Yes.
So I'm sorry to
Definitely.
go on a tangent here, but it's just so awesome how mentors elevate us as a person as we try to elevate their lives as well. So,
Mhm. Right, yeah, and
yeah,
they love mentees pursuing them, because then it feels like, oh, they really do you really do wanna learn from Jeff, right? So you pursue him instead of waiting around for Jeff to, possibly reach out to you. So
of
that's
course.
just awesome. And DJs are very vital. My daughter just got married September 6th. So, I know DJs, they can make or break the time, so and thankfully she
Congratulations
had a good one,
to your
so
daughter. Yeah,
yeah,
congratulations.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
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 pretty exciting.
yeah,
Yeah,
DJs, anyone, and I mean, entertainment's not gonna go away. Everybody loves entertainment,
yeah, for
audio,
sure.
stuff like
You can make a good living, I know, with what we paid. So,
that. Yeah, yeah, but,
yeah.
that's also freelancing, so, like,
Mhm,
not every, uh, gig is guaranteed. Some people might pull out of the deal, like,
mhm,
we're
yeah,
deciding to cancel the wedding or, "Oh,
right. The
we"
budget's, like, getting
yeah,
smaller, something's gotta go, yeah,
yeah, of course. So, that happens, that's life, so not everything is guaranteed, but you keep moving
yeah.
forward. I'm still applying for jobs here. I actually have an interview with the music studio here,
Mhm.
later today at 6 p.m., right? So, like, I'm
Ooh,
talking to people. I'm just trying to
that's
put
exciting.
stuff out there, right? Like,
Yeah, cool.
at the end of the day, I do wanna be my own boss, don't get me wrong about that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you're starting somewhere. I mean, for me,
Mhm.
I've worked since I was, like, 16. I took a break, but I'm back, and I've been doing my own stuff. I'm 22 now. I know I look older than that, but
You're just a baby. No.
but when you're in your
That's
early 20s, like, you're trying to, like, "Let's go,
yeah,
go, go. I gotta do this." Like, what other option do I have? In the
yeah,
economy that we are in today, I think there's so many things I gotta do
yeah,
before, time runs out. We all have our expiration date as humans.
yeah,
That's life. You never
yeah,
know when you're gone. It could be the
yeah.
next day, you never know. So, I mean, I should be more ambitious, of course. My mom is the most ambitious person I ever met, so,
Yeah,
I can't be on her level. That's
yeah,
insane. But everybody wants to pursue something that they love and they enjoy.
yeah. Well, I
And
think it's great that you're pursuing, that you wanna pursue your own business because really that is, you could take it to whatever level you want, really. I mean, if you work for somebody, then you're
yeah,
in that whatever role they've deemed you to be at, so
yeah.
I think that's great that you're pursuing your own as well.
Well, thank you, Paula.
Yeah,
There's pros and cons everywhere though. Like even when you're your own boss,
yeah,
right? And you have to push yourself. And when you're
yeah,
working for somebody, like, oh yeah, you have a guaranteed income, a stable,
right,
more
yeah,
stable than what you're doing on your own. So
yep, it's that whole risk and reward.
it is. It
Yeah,
really is. And
mhm,
you gotta be willing to push yourself. And
yeah,
I'm there, but I feel like I need to grow a little bit more as a person. I'm
yeah,
not that mature. I'm mature, but not that mature.
yeah,
Again, I'm still learning when the right
yeah,
time to do certain things and when the
yeah,
it's all about timing too.
yeah,
But you gotta be on your feet, think just like that.
right, yeah, yeah, well, it sounds like you've got a good plan in place for how you're gonna
Yeah,
get there.
but I'm not trying to talk about myself so much here. I'm sorry. Uh,
No, you're fine. It's
I,
it's it's a two-way
yeah,
conversation, right? So, it's
yeah,
all
yeah,
good.
yeah. And I'm still learning throughout this podcasting process. My
Mhm.
goal is to learn more about you, right?
Okay.
I mean, so far, I heard that you're a sweet person. And obviously you are. I learned a lot about you. And you're very humble, very down to
Yeah,
earth. I really love that about you.
thank you. I feel the same about you, so,
Oh, well, thank you. I
yeah,
try. I'm not
yes.
perfect or anything. Well, nobody is, right? I
Yes, right.
say that all
Yeah.
the time. But before we close out here, so I remember on a previous conversation that you love spending time with your grandkids, you love
Yeah.
travel,
Yes, I
right?
do. Yeah.
What is it about those moments that help you recharge from work?
Oh, I think they just bring back what's really important in life. Really, it's about relationships. Like I love to travel and see things, but I love it when I get to do it with people that I love, like good friends, my husband, of course, and then spending time with the grandbabies, because it's like you get to love your kids all over again because it's like them being little again, so it's just a great experience. Yeah, so it just really helps me remember, you know what? And these other people, it's like I don't want my grandkids going to a playground and getting injured, right? So I want to make sure the playgrounds are safe for them. Same thing I feel like when I meet other people, like I want them to be able to enjoy all the wonderful things about life, of being in a relationship, going to a place where they think it's going to be safe for their grandkids or their kids, and making sure that it is that safe, fun place for them. So
Yeah. Are
yeah,
you one of those grandparents, like let's say your daughter or your son, they tell you like, oh, just make sure you don't give them this candy or something after a certain time. And like, yeah, I'll let them have something, right? Like you just let it slide, right? Like, oh,
no, actually, I'm like, well, I don't know. So my sons and their wives have had kids thus far. My daughter, since she just got married, she hasn't yet. So right now, no, I mind my P's and Q's. I do whatever they say goes right now. So, and they're only 2.5. So we'll see as I get more, because I have 4 kids and only 2 of them have had kids so far. So maybe as I get, more racked up, and we'll see if I become like that. But yeah, right now
yeah, I feel like
I'm
that's
letting them. I feel like they need to have number 2 because when they've got the firstborn, everybody's very hyper focused on the firstborn.
mhm,
You do everything just so. It's like once you get the second, then you're like, it's fine.
it's cake
I'm
loss.
just trying to
Yeah,
survive. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like I mean, I hear stories. I don't know for sure because I'm not a grandparent, but you get a
yeah,
lot of leeway when you're a grandparent. You get to take care of the grandkid, but you don't have to focus as hard
yeah,
compared to the actual parent because the parent has
yeah.
to do this and this and this. You're there. You're just
Yeah,
making sure they're
just have
okay.
fun. Yeah. You don't
Yeah,
have to discipline really. You just have to have fun. You keep them engaged, kind of like, like the grandma that you said you saw at the wedding, that she's like, hey, let's do a run. A
yeah,
parent, they might come in and be like, no, you need to do this, get in there. You need to listen to me because you're trying to teach your kids. You want them to listen to you. You don't always have to play a game or
yeah,
pull that out, right? Because that can get exhausting.
yeah.
So there's a balance. And that's why I feel like with risk and safety, there's that probability and the severity. So,
Hmm.
they're parents are learning that. As grandparents, we've kind of seen what is the probability of something happening
Yeah.
and knowing the severity a little bit better maybe than the parents do. So,
So I
but you
always
don't know that till you become a grandparent.
yeah, I always had this fondness towards grandparents, and I didn't really know my parents that well because those grandparents were from India. I was born here in Des Moines, Iowa. I was raised here. I'd
Um,
only go to India like on certain like summers, basically.
yeah,
Like, probably like 7 times now. That's probably how much I went now into India. So if you think about it, in the span of 22 years, that's not a lot, right? I mean,
right.
it's a lot of money to
Yeah,
get, but
yeah.
I did have one grandparent figure that still makes an impact on my life. I
Um,
call her grandma, even though
yeah,
she wasn't biologically my grandmother. Uh, so
yeah,
basically, I'm gonna give you a little brief story on how what my life kind of is and was, and I guess it is now. Uh, I lived in a neighborhood, and my parents had to work. They needed to make money. We
yeah,
live better off now. We live way better off now compared to where we were like 20 years ago, obviously, because that's just how life goes. You progress,
yeah, right.
and they needed somebody to take care of me while they were working, or even when I had to go to school. Like they still had to work 9 to 5 jobs. Like they still
Yeah,
had, people were retired. My dad's retired now. Like everybody's older. So, but
yeah,
during this time, people really had to grind in my family. My family had to just work, work, work. And the only person that was really there was my grandma figure. So the way, not everything, because I learned a lot from my parents too, but a lot of
yeah,
ways of thinking, the way I speak, the way I do things comes from that person, and I
Oh,
get a lot from her. She was probably the most sweetest person I ever met
yeah.
in my entire life. Uh, but you kind of carry
Mhm.
those traditions from those grandparents. They give a lot of uh, values.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I take a personal liking of like, okay, if I meet somebody who has grandparents, I have so much respect for them. So because they know like they they give so much more than what an average person would think, and I learned that at a
Yeah.
young age, and I always take that into accountability.
Yeah.
So I just want to say I do have
Yeah.
a deep respect for you because
Thank you. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
only did your family give they have kids and you're a grandparent, but I know you based off our conversations that we've had. You're a very humble person, and you're willing to give a route. You're willing to give great guidance to people, you know, and make them grow in a very special
Yeah.
way. So,
No.
yeah,
Oh, thank you, Amal. I don't know if my kids would appreciate agree. No, I'm kidding. But no, it is great being, because like you're working so hard as a younger person. So that way when you do become grandparents age, I mean, it's just nice that you have the time, the capacity, and the patience, to really invest into a little Amal. So
yeah.
yeah, that's
So,
awesome. I'm glad that you had that grandma
yeah,
in your life. So
yeah, I'm very appreciative of that.
yeah.
So, what's one recent success or project that you're proud of that really reflects on you and your career right now? I didn't mean to. Again, I want to learn more about you as a person, but I also want to learn one more thing about you and your work
Oh,
life.
sure. I would say the biggest thing for me was that ODE, for a state organization to adopt our safety system here at a school district. I feel like that was really a great, recent victory, I guess you'd say, or real honor that they felt like our work was good enough for the state to implement and replicate and be that role model. So that's been awesome. And then I just nominated my boss for Oregon Prima Risk Manager of the Year. So he won that award. So, and that was just recently at this conference I was just at. So that was great to see him get the accolades that he deserves for the work he's doing. So, yeah.
Oh, man. So I know we're wrapping up here. So before we wrap up, though, is there any parting words that you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Oh boy, I would just encourage ParkZapp to keep up the great work, and for you personally, right? I love that you're wanting to be your own business, own your own business, but also recognize that you need to learn and grow from other people as you develop. So I'd encourage you in that, and then yeah, that ParkZapp just continues to provide such great customer service. I think that's been really key, for me, relationship and building that with people. I've built that with your mom, the owner, over these years, and that really speaks a lot because I feel like I share, hey, this would be great if you could do this in the app, and she, does her best to make sure that that happens. So that's been wonderful because not a lot of vendors do that. So I appreciate that ParkZapp really cares about their customers. So keep up that good work.
Well,
So
thank you, and
yeah,
we appreciate you too. Obviously, like
yeah,
again, we appreciate everybody that
yeah,
comes across, that we come across, and you're
yeah,
you're very exceptional as a person. So I
yeah,
just want to thank
yeah,
you. I want to thank you for actually giving me the time to interview you and learn more about you and your life.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, it's been an added bonus to learn more about you too. So this was
yeah,
great.
thank you. It's
Thank
been
you for taking the load off of me so I didn't have to do all the talking. So I appreciate that very much.
yeah, of course, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, and for anyone that's listening out there, thank you for joining in on this podcast brought to you by Zamorins Solutions. This is the ParkZapp Playground, and yeah, Have a great rest of your time and take care.